What moment made you say yep, I'm definitely dead but survived with no major injuries? Insane car crash. Sitting stopped at a red light and a woman not watching the road at all. Texting. Hit me at highway speeds. I was pushed into the crossing traffic that somehow dodged me. Someone ran up to the car and first question was, oh my god, you're alive? And I answered honestly, I'm not sure. I couldn't open my door but climbed out the window. The entire back of the car was collapsed in. Car crash here as well. I was 15. Driver was 16 with a learner's permit. I got into the shotgun seat and my friend started kicking the back and complaining that I always get shotgun. Normally I would have told him to go F himself cause I called it fairly, but that time I was like, okay, you got it. We went speeding down a twisty country road. It started to rain. Car hydroplaned down a hill, flipped once or twice and hit a tree. When I opened my eyes I saw half the front seat had been knocked into the back, along with my friend. Blood everywhere. Driver was fine. I had a concussion. Shotgun passenger had brain trauma and was never the same. Edit. This was in Texas. The driver never fully took responsibility for his actions or apologized. No, it's not legal for a learner to drive without a licensed person in the car. My injured friend had after effects like seizures for a year, then appeared to be fully healed. But as he got older his personality completely changed. In a really radical way. He became very antisocial and difficult. No way we could be sure, but all of us attributed it to the accident. Once as a kid I was in the backyard swimming while my family was nearby eating dinner at a round table. Most had their backs to me, but I was like 11 and an experienced swimmer. I got into a toddler's float with leg holes. It ended up flipping over and I was stuck in it. My legs wouldn't come out of the leg holes. I kicked and thrashed as much as I could, but I was so stuck, and you can't hear someone screaming underwater. So many thoughts ran through my head, mostly how sad I was that my parents were about to find me dead in a matter of minutes and how they'd never forgive themselves for allowing me to silently drown as they talked with friends. I tried one more time to kick with all of my might. One leg slipped out and I was able to get the other out after. I was fine. Totally effing spooked, but physically okay. Did you tell them what happened? I have a similar story. I was single digit age and for some reason I removed my life jacket while on our family's boat with my parents. I was attempting to sit on the little board that sticks off the back for climbing onto when I toppled off into the water. I was still in swimming classes at the time and couldn't do much but doggy paddle. I was bobbing up and down in the water and I couldn't get enough air to scream in between coming up for air. I was little and got panicked and tired really quickly and began to sink, one surfacing at a time, until I couldn't surface anymore and realized it completely. I thought about my parents on the boat who didn't know I was gone and wondered when they'd realize I was missing and if they'd find me. A big gray fish swam by and I saw my mom dive in just as everything went dark. I woke up on the boat in a towel. I ran out of the pool and told them, but I feel like they didn't take me all that seriously since I was just a kid talking a mile a minute. They probably thought I was being dramatic. Near drowning experiences are absolutely horrifying. I'm sorry that happened to you. I think what's scariest is that I had been swimming since the age of 4. My parents thought I was safe. They did all the right things, but I was still a kid that did a stupid thing and my swimming skills didn't make a difference here. I just remember feeling so hopeless, and in these situations 30 seconds feels like an eternity. You can never be too careful. I was driving home from college on one of those highways with only one lane in either direction and no shoulder. A guy in the oncoming lane didn't see me as I was in a small car. He thought he could pass 4 18-wheelers in one go and pulled into my lane going at least 90. There was nowhere for me to go. He flew off into the ditch to avoid hitting me head on. Likely did severe damage to his car, but I lived. I'm a skier. On a few occasions I have caught an edge at a pretty high speed, 50 plus mph or more. That moment when you feel both skis leave the ground when they're not supposed to is horrifying. Somehow I've never had anything more than some moderate whiplash and a sprained wrist, knock on wood. I had leg cramp and a momentary blackout when swimming in a diving pool when I was 16. I was really active that I overexert my limit. Surprisingly I didn't really panicked, just the dreadful thought, oh I'm effed. Funny thing is that I didn't really wingle my hands out of the pool panickingly like I usually see in the TV, just silently sinking. Good thing the pool guard on duty noticed me and went for my rescue by pulling me out. Really wish I thanked the guard more that he saved me instead of me cluelessly sitting outside the lobby after the accident. Tire popped going over at a lane road with steep drops on both sides. My car jerked to the side hard, and my car went sideways. Half my car hung over the side and luckily it's low so it bottomed out. I climbed into the back seat and jumped out the back door. Some dude in a truck pulled me out and I drove on a flat to the other side and swapped my tire out. My friend and I just spent a few days at a beach shack. My friend just got her P plates. She was super excited so she wanted to drive us home. This was one of her first times driving alone. Being 17 we didn't really see an issue. I rang my dad beforehand and told him I was getting a lift. He said I don't think you should do that. I can come pick you up. I can drive some of the girls home too. I think you guys should wait until she's had more experience. Of course being 17. Thinking I knew everything. I said it was fine and I was hopping in her car. We were on our way home. Playing music and chatting. There were 5 17-year-olds in this car. I was sitting behind the driver's seat. My friend pulls out onto a 2-1 expressway from a country road, like an intersection. We notice she's turned the wrong way and tell her to make a U-turn. She pulls to the side and decides to go for it, through 2 lanes. She didn't check her mirrors properly and a large truck was coming up behind us. My friend got frightened and put her foot on the brake in the middle of both lanes. We were all screaming at her to keep driving, but she was frozen. I remember, it was like slow motion. I looked at every single one of my friends. We all kind of shared a moment of fear, like this is it I guess. The exchanged looks horned me tbh. We could hear the truck horn blaring at us. I looked out my window to the truck driving toward us. I locked eyes with the truck driver. Luckily the truck stopped about 5 meters away from us. She pulled away and was really upset. The car was silent the entire way back. It was honestly the scariest moment. I am from a really small town and I think losing 5 people at once would really rock it. Seeing my friends' faces in that moment, it was actually horrific. I did have a moment of okay, here comes the truck. It was oddly peaceful. After that day I have a real understanding that I'm mortal and can go at any minute. Oh, and to trust my dad. Oh, I actually have a story that fits. I was coming home from a party at 2 AM in 2016. And made a conscious choice to drive through town rather than take the big highway that skirts the city limits. It would add like 10 minutes to the trip, but hey, it was the first time I'd been back in ages. That decision literally almost killed me. Not even 5 minutes after that, the 3-lane highway, really just a wide road, passed in front of mall, and there was a signal light there. Well, some drunk idiot decided to turn right into the mall from the far left lane, and I was in the middle lane. I had absolutely no time to stop, so I slammed into the side of his car at 65 miles per hour. I remembered yelling "shtt" and trying to keep control of the wheels to get the car off the road onto the grass before I blacked out for a few minimum. The airbag and the seat belt combined had fractured my sternum, which took the air out of my lungs and made me faint, I guess. But it didn't feel like I woke up, more so like my vision came back into focus and I was aware. But those few moments I was still kind of conscious and in immense pain. Worst I've ever felt in my life. I hurt from the skin on the soles of my feet to my scalp. Every single inch was in pain and I was like, so I'm dead. This is my body telling me I'm dead. So when I came to, heat hit me cause my car was F-ed and the engine was as hot as standing in a fire. So I was convinced my car was about to go up. It didn't. So I tried to get out, but the door was wedged shut from the crash and I started to panic. I put my back against the passenger seat and kicked the door over and over until it opened and climbed out. Every single police officer, EMT, and even the tow truck guy took one look at my car and told me you shouldn't have walked away from that crash at all. The fact that all you have is a fracture and some lacerations is a literal miracle. So yeah, that's how I almost died and thought for sure I was dead, but got lucky. When I was 18 I was driving through an intersection with a right of way, going 70 kmph, or 43.5 miles per hour. A man in a blue Mazda 3 hatchback decided to run the red light turning left. He was so close to me that I could see the whites of his eyes. and in a split second I thought I'm about to T-bone this guy. Driver side door and he is going to die. Instinctively I yanked on the wheel and swerved to the right and instantly went over the curb and off the road, onto someone's lawn. I slammed the brakes, but because I was on grass the tires locked and the car kept momentum. I went through their wooden fence and garden, and straight into the brick wall on the side of their house. As soon as I went off the road, I 100% thought I was going to die. My life didn't flash before my eyes, but people close to me did. It could have only been a second or two, but time seemed to slow down and my brain was racing. I thought about how my girlfriend would react, what my parents would say, what my friends would think, etc. When the car hit the wall, it punched a few bricks out of place and the entire front end of the vehicle caved in. The windows shattered, the tires exploded, the doors bent into an L shape and the car started to fill with smoke. However, the radio was still playing Vicarious by Tool. I was concussed by the airbag, broke my nose, jaw, 2 fingers, had whiplash and my left knee was dislocated. I was in shock and couldn't believe that what just happened was real, and so I just sat there kinda freaking out. A group of parents from a birthday party across the street saw what happened and ran to the car and pulled me from it as they thought it was about to catch fire. The man in the Mazda 3 drove away. If it wasn't for the testimony of those parents who told the police they witnessed the man run the intersection and that I didn't do anything wrong, I would have been completely liable for all of the property damage, and additionally insurance would not have replaced the vehicle as it would have been deemed at fault. I am glad nobody else got hurt. I was driving down a highway, doing 65 miles per hour, and suddenly my car started to shake. I tapped the brakes in reflex and my entire car flipped 180 degrees. I'm now facing oncoming traffic, including a semi-truck. I was so close I couldn't see the driver compartment. I screamed and jerked the wheel, bringing me in front of a sedan with 2 people screaming as they watched me appear out of nowhere. I kept screaming and floored the gas pedal, made it to the side of the road and cried for a long time. I had blown a rear tire. Hitting the brakes was a terrible choice. I was a senior in high school, and the student club I was in organized an unofficial beach trip towards the end of the year. No teachers or official permission, leaving me and a few other seniors in charge of supervising everything. After a couple hours worth of fun, one of the other students came running up to me and said that 3 of the younger members of the club had been swept out by a riptide and couldn't get back towards the shore. Me and 2 other of the older students, all experienced swimmers, immediately went to go help them. My friends got 2 of the 3 kids in trouble and started guiding them parallel to the shore to get them out of the current, but the guy I went for was panicking, barely staying above the water, and started dragging me down with him almost immediately. I yelled for people to get a lifeguard and tried to keep both of us afloat, but after a few minutes, maybe 5, maybe 10, it felt like forever, I was getting exhausted, having trouble keeping both of us above the water, and I couldn't see anyone coming to the rescue. I started getting big mouthfuls of water and my leg muscles were starting to cramp up, and I remember thinking, holy sh, I might actually die right here, right now, as the current started pulling us further and further away from where everyone was. Thankfully for everyone involved, one of the students on the beach had flagged down a couple of surfers, who made their way out to where we were as quickly as they could and hauled first the younger student and then me onto the front of their boards and took us back to shore. I'll always be thankful and appreciative for those strangers who put themselves in the dangerous position of rescuing 2 drowning swimmers. I own a 65 Classic Mustang which I enjoy driving anywhere it can go. I once took it up a large mountain with a group of friends. The roads weren't steep or especially dangerous, but there was danger present because of how high it was. We made it up the mountain with no issues and stopped at bar at the top where my friends got plastered. I didn't drink because I was the designated driver. Before I continue, I need to clarify that the brakes on a stock Classic Mustang from the 60s era need to be primed before use. Basically, you have to hit the brakes twice before they work. On the trip down, the brakes cut out and stopped working. I primed the brakes over and over, but they didn't engage. The parking brake hadn't been working the past month and was going to be replaced that Monday. I soon lost control of the car and we started to barrel down the road. We turned a shallow right corner and saw a long road that ended with a sharp turn. At that moment I thought I was going to die and take my friends with me. They had no clue they were plastered in the back, Luckily the brakes re-engaged halfway down the road and we managed to turn the corner. It has been 4 months and I haven't touched that car. To this day my friends have no clue what almost happened.